A stay-at-home dad who hadn't earned a paycheck in over a year walked onto the Deal or No Deal stage and said he was ready to go the distance. He was a marathon runner, and he treated this game like a 26-mile race. The offers climbed, his wife begged him to stop, and then a Super Bowl champion showed up to give him advice. The finish line? You won't see it coming. Jeff Griffiths is a stay-at-home dad from Ohio. He's a proud graduate of Miami University. That's the one in Ohio, not Florida, and a marathon runner. He's got a 15-month-old son who is, in Jeff's words, absolutely perfect. The baby was front and center in a photo Jeff brought to the show, dressed head to toe in a Ben Roethlisberger jersey. Because Big Ben, the Super Bowl winning quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, is a Miami University alum too. He's Jeff's hero, the man his son is growing up idolizing before he can even walk. And tonight, Jeff is playing for that little boy's future. Jeff picked case number 9, the 9th. The day his son was born. He even held the case up to the camera and looked at it like it already had $1 million inside. He told Howie he was a marathon runner and he was ready to go the distance with this game. He said he didn't even need to stretch or warm up. The starting gun had fired and the race was on. Jeff came out of the gate running and running fast. His first round was textbook perfection. 6 cases opened cases, and the biggest amount he lost was $100,000. That sounds like a big number, and it is. But in the context of Deal or No Deal, losing $100,000 while keeping the $1 million, the $750, the $500, the $400, and the $300, that's a dream scenario. Every single top-tier amount was completely intact. The board was glowing with big money from top to bottom. It was one of the cleanest, most surgical opening rounds anyone had seen on the show in a long time. Howie was genuinely impressed. Even the banker acknowledged it when the phone rang. The message was a congratulations on a solid opening round. That's something the banker almost never says. The first offer, $26,000. Jeff looked at the number and delivered a line that perfectly captured his entire situation as a stay-at-home dad with zero income. $26,000 is more than I'm making right now, but it's no million. The studio cracked up. Here was a man who literally earns nothing, being offered $26,000 and turning it down with humor and confidence. No deal. The marathon runner was settling into his stride, and the first mile felt great. 5 more cases to open. Jeff picked case 24 first. Nancy held it $5,000. Safe. Case 6 followed, and the amount was manageable. Case 19 cleared another small number. The board was holding beautifully. Every pick was coming from the left side, the low side, exactly where you want to be pulling. But then came case 26, followed by case 14, which revealed $75,000. A bigger hit than anything in the first round, but still not catastrophic. When the dust settled, the top 5 amounts were still alive on the board, including the $1 million. Jeff's game was in phenomenal shape, and his marathon metaphor was holding up. He was pacing himself perfectly. The banker's second offer jumped to $61,000, more than double the first offer. The banker even sent a message through Howie. You're expending a lot of energy. You may want to pace yourself. It was a not-so-subtle attempt to rattle the marathon runner. Jeff wasn't buying it. He looked at his family. Frank was pumped. Tina was calculating, Tony was nodding and said that $61,000 would buy a lot of diapers, formula and toys, but his son deserved something bigger. A big wheel, a big future. No deal. 4 cases to open. And this is where the marathon hit its first real incline. Case 4 opened safely, but then Case 7 revealed $400,000, a massive amount, ripped off the board. The crowd reacted with a collective groan. Jeff kept his composure. Marathon runners don't panic on hills, they push through them. Cases 11 and 10 followed, and by the end of the round, the damage was clear. He'd lost the $400,000 and another amount. The board was noticeably thinner. The banker's offer dropped to $49,000, down from $61,000. The marathon metaphor was being tested. The banker was telling Jeff he was falling behind pace. His twin brother Frank fired back immediately. You've still got 3 high ones up there. No deal. The banker had offended Jeff with that low ball, and the Griffiths brothers don't take offense lightly. No deal. 3 cases to open. Jeff picked his numbers, and the first couple were manageable. But then came the case that shook the foundation of the entire game. The $1 million, the number Jeff had been chasing since the moment he chose case 9 on his son's birthday, was eliminated from the board. The top prize, gone. The crowd went quiet. The dream of being a stay-at-home millionaire dad evaporated in a single case opening. Two significant amounts remained on the board, $300,000 and $500,000. The banker offered $42,000, the lowest offer of the night. But this is where something truly extraordinary happened. Howie told Jeff that the producers wanted to do something special. They'd reached out to a certain famous Miami University graduate, a certain Super Bowl champion. They put him up on the big screen in the studio, Ben Roethlisberger, the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the man who led his team to a Super Bowl championship. Jeff's hero, the man whose jersey his 15-month-old son was wearing in that photo they showed at the start of the episode. Big Ben appeared on the screen, smiled at Jeff and said, "Jeff, I've been watching the show so far. There's still a lot of money out there. I say no deal." Jeff's jaw hit the floor. His twin brother Frank was absolutely losing his mind. Tina's eyes went wide. The entire studio was on its feet cheering. This was not just a celebrity cameo, this was Jeff's personal hero, the man who represents everything he loves about his alma mater, telling him to keep fighting. When a Super Bowl champion quarterback looks you in the eye and says, "No deal," you don't question it. You just run. No deal. Not a chance in the world. Two cases to open, Jeff navigated through them with care. Case 21 and Case 22, both relatively small amounts leaving the board. The $300,000 was gone, but the $500,000 case was still alive. $500,000, still carrying the game, still keeping Jeff's marathon going. There were 6 cases left in play, and the odds of having the $500,000 in Case 9 were 1 in 6. The banker's next offer climbed back up, $55,000. Howie pointed out that Jeff was at a crossroads, one huge amount remained, and he was opening one case at a time from here on out. Every single case mattered now. Frank looked at Jeff and said, "I was going to tell you to take it, but you've got a lot of low numbers left. The next offer is going to go way up. It'll change our lives." No deal. But then Tina spoke, Jeff's wife, the breadwinner, the woman who had told him he was going back to work if he didn't deliver tonight. She looked at him and said, firmly, $55,000 is a lot of money. It would help our family a lot. I think we need to take it. The studio went tense. Big Ben said no deal. The twin brother said no deal. But the wife, the one who pays the bills, said take it. What would you do? Your hero says keep going. Your twin says keep going. But your wife, the person you go home to, the person who controls whether you stay at home with your baby or go back to a 9 to 5, says stop. Who do you listen to? Jeff Griffiths listened to Ben Roethlisberger. No deal. One case to open. This was the moment of truth. The $500,000 was the only landmine left on the entire board. A 5 out of 6 chance of dodging it. Those are great odds on paper, but they feel terrifying when your wife is sitting in the audience with her arms crossed, having been publicly overruled in front of millions of viewers on national television. Jeff picked Case 3. Lisa held it. Howie laid out the stakes as clearly as he could. If the $500,000 goes away, you're going to be sorry you turned down $55,000. You'll be hurting. The whole studio was frozen. Tina was watching with a look that said everything words couldn't. Frank was leaning forward, hands clasped, barely breathing. The marathon runner was hitting the wall, that brutal moment in every race, where your body wants to quit, but your mind has to carry you. Lisa opened the case. It was not $500,000. The crowd absolutely erupted. The $500,000 was still alive, and the marathon runner had just cleared the hardest mile of the entire race. The banker called $70,000, up from $55,000, climbing again, and this time everyone was on the same page. Tina was firm. "We took a big risk. I don't think we should do it again. Take this money. This is life-changing." Frank agreed. Tony agreed. Even Jeff could feel it. The finish line was right here. He smiled, looked at Howie, and delivered his final line with the flair of a man who'd been saving it all night. "Let the banker know I'm making a withdrawal. Deal." $70,000. Howie opened Case 9. $1,000. Jeff Griffiths had been sitting on just $1,000 for the entire game. The stay-at-home dad who earns nothing sold a $1,000 case for $70,000. That's not just a good deal, that's an incredible deal. But Howie played the what-if game, and it was painful to watch. If Jeff had said no deal to $70,000, his next case would have held just $75. The offer would have jumped to $136,000, and it could have climbed even higher from there. Jeff had left significant money on the table, but he didn't know that. Nobody ever knows. And $70,000 for a family where the dad earns zero income? That's a new chapter. That's more diapers than he could count. That's formula for years. That's his son's college fund getting its first real deposit. And most importantly, that's a few more years of being the stay-at-home dad. He loves being with his wife's blessing this time. So here's my question. Would you have listened to your wife at 55,000? Or would you have done what Jeff did and followed Big Ben's advice to keep going? And knowing the what if that 136,000 was just one case away, did he stop too early or right on time? Drop your answer in the comments. See you in the next one.